Hello, sellers. It's Kathy, and I love to be selling. Come on in. Come on in. Oh, I had so much fun spotting this trend on eBay. So one of the things that is super fun about helping so many sellers with their accounts on eBay is that I am looking at inventory daily, all kinds of inventory and all kinds of trends. And as I'm doing that, I take notes about things that I can share with you. And this is one that I just spotted. Excuse me. Got my tea here. Let me just have a sip of tea. Delicious peppermint tea that I just spotted and I wanted to share with you. Hi, Vicky. How are you? Um, and to give you an idea too about how to research things on eBay. So here we, of course, now we have a fire truck going by. Lively here in New York. And if you don't know, I live in New York City. So you'll be searching on eBay, and sometimes you'll listen to people that are sharing about things that are selling on eBay, and you'll listen to them on social media, you'll listen to them on videos. Um, and some of the trends are great, but oftentimes it's how do I say this in a nice way? It's, for instance, like I'll tell people like a hot trend being, I'm going to pick something. Oh, Lululemon. Very, very hot trend in athleisure. How are you, Vicky? You've got your 6-month grandson. Oh, that's wonderful, Vicky. We just had our grandkids with us for the weekend. It's such a treat, isn't it? Um, so something like Lululemon, which is fantastic athleisure line, great leggings and tops, all kinds of things. I mean, it's very, very, very popular. And depending on where you live, it can be rather difficult to source. Not the easiest thing to find in New York City. It sells really, really, really well. So depending on what kind of thrift shops you have, reselling shops, or friends that are looking to use you for consignment, yes, it can absolutely be a great trend. But what I try to work with when I'm working with my members in Love to Be Selling Insider and with private clients is you want to find what's called a micro niche. So rather than pick something like Coach Purse, right? An obvious one. And again, if you can source them, it's great. If you've got consignments clients that are giving them to you to resell, great. But I'm thinking things like Coach, Burberry, Kate Spade, Michael Kors, even brands like Nike, that can be a little bit easier to source. It's very, very broad, very, very large, and I would say probably the majority of sellers are aware of it. What you're looking for is within the broad categories. So let's say women's clothing, men's clothing, athletic gear, your purses, wallets, jewelry. You're looking for smaller brands, or if you want to do a large brand like Lululemon or Michael Kors or Burberry or whatever, is a subcategory, something smaller that perhaps not everybody has latched onto, that you are able to source and resell. And sometimes the sourcing, because I work with friends that are consignment sellers, also friends that buy from estate sales, what it can be when you're sourcing is somebody who collects that, like my grandmother collected salt and pepper shakers. They are selling their entire collection. So you may not be able to source this product year in and year out. I'm remembering, gosh, 4 or 5 years ago, clearly a seamstress donated, it was like 60 patterns, sewing pattern sets, very unusual patterns. I mean, things that sell for $20, $25, $30 on up to a local thrift shop. And I just happened to hit pay dirt and I bought them all. So it took me, gosh, about 6, 7, 8 months to sell them all because they were unusual. Things like very ornate, ruffled shirts for men, sort of Phantom of the Opera kind of thing. But they would sell because they were very unusual costume type patterns. So something like that, you were able to source it, but I'm not able to source that day in and day out. So it's May. So I'm going to date this. This is May 2023. We're going into Memorial Day weekend. And then we're going to be going into June, July, August. So that'll include July 4th and Labor Day. But in the summer, typically for most Americans, is there's a lot of outdoor living. So this is when you put your eBay seller hat on. And I'm thinking, yes, we ship globally. Yes, there's a lot of different lifestyles. Yes, people live in the city and they live in the country. So, there's going to be variation on how people live, but a lot of people have backyards. A lot of people do outdoor living. You have people with above ground pools. You have people with in-ground pools. You have people with community pools. You've got a lot of summer travel going on. We have a lot of people that love their gardens, that love their yards. And like here in the city where some folks, they might have a little garden or a little terrace, it might be very, very small. And then other people that really have very, very large, lovely backyards, landscaped. For some people, they put a lot of attention on their porch and the area around their porch. So putting on your eBay thinking cap is to think about what kinds of things with people moving outdoors with their families and their lifestyle, and don't forget pets, what kind of things are people looking for? So you want to think about the kind of things that you buy, okay? But you also want to be aware of things that other people are buying. And this is where you got to sort of stretch and think outside the box. And this is what I wanted to help you with. So a couple things around this. So for instance, when I was growing, my mother was a very, very avid vegetable and flower gardener. Okay. So she would have had gardening gloves. She would have had all kinds of gardening tools, but the hand tools was the ones that she liked. She would have been down on her knees because I see things, the pads you can put under your knees, things that you put your tools into that you're carrying with you, aprons that you wear around your waist that you're putting your tools into, hats that you're wearing, especially now people are much more conscious about sun exposure, hats that you might wear when you're outdoors gardening. Gloves, people love really pretty gardening gloves, okay? So again, you start thinking about this and you think about this as you're sourcing, no matter where you're shopping, whether you are shopping at thrift stores, whether you're shopping at consignment stores. Also, if you're doing what's called retail arbitrage, so you're going into a physical brick and mortar store, okay? You're going into a Macy's, a Nordstrom's, but don't forget stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, and also I'm going to encourage you, depending on where you live, the little local home and garden stores, little local home boutiques can have some really great items that the big retailers don't have. And they're much more unusual, really unique patterns, and you might get really good prices depending on what the items are. And you can use those to resell. Completely off topic, but I remember a dear friend of mine that was in the Kansas City area. And when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, all kinds of neat, and they were authentic. They were from the franchise, but cool Kansas City gear that was available locally that wasn't available necessarily nationwide, that kind of thing. But think about that for the gardening. There may be something local to you in Ohio. There may be something local to you, your area in Nebraska. There may be something local to your area in Alabama or Louisiana with perhaps a theme of your state, your area, things that grow in your area that may not grow so abundantly everywhere else. That people, like if I'm from Louisiana, born and bred, but now I'm living, let's say, in Arizona or New York or Connecticut, I'm going to see that gardening tool, gardening glove, gardening apron, and of course you're using great keywords, and I'm going to buy it. Land Map paperback book. Yes, I finally sold something 2 hours ago. It was a vintage holly. Great. Yes, Christmas sells year round. But keep an eye out for things that are just a little bit more unusual, that are not readily accessible at necessarily all the mass retailers, because that can really be a great seller. Think outdoor living. Now, one of the things that can help you with outdoor living, and I'm going to share this with you, and this goes back to my days when I was on QVC for 6 years, is shows like QVC. Let me just show you this. So if you are not familiar with a category, you're like, Kathy, I want to learn more about, outdoor gardening, maybe RV accessories, maybe computers. By the way, they have computer hours on QVC. It was one of the ways I learned a lot about electronics, but they will have themed shows. Okay. So I point out QVC because it's just a really good retailer. And if you're not aware of it, the people that present on QVC are highly educated on the fields that they're presenting on. For instance, the jewelry people, if you're selling jewelry, definitely watch the jewelry shows on QVC. Typically, the presenters on QVC for jewelry are gemologists. They're certified gemologists. They really, really know what they're talking about as far as the stones and the cuts and all of that. But this is what I wanted to point out to you is you can look at the guide and look at this. They have a patio and garden sale and clearance. And this is on Wednesday, May 24th. That would be great. I just want to sort of get, I just want to hear garden and patio things. I want to see accessories. I want to see styles. I want to listen to keywords. Because people say to me, Kathy, you're so good at keywords. I literally listen to hundreds and hundreds of hours of people selling all kinds of home appliances, computers, clothing. So I just really pick on keywords because, again, I listened to them for so long. But something like this would be perfect, is to listen to the show, tape the show. They have shows on all kinds of handbags. If you sell a lot of handbags, even if you don't sell the brand that they're selling, like they have a Dooney and Burkauer, it can be worth it to tape it, to listen to, because what you want to listen to is all about the styling, the detail. Same thing on the clothing. You want to listen to them talk about the necklines, the detail, the zippers, the buttons, the colors, what colors are trending, because they're going to talk about it. And again, you're listening. Also look. But the big thing is to listen, because you're listening for the keywords, you're listening for the styles, and then obviously look, because you're looking at the style and the colors. So that was my first tip for you, is really pretty much any kind of home decor category, but we're focusing right now on patio and garden, but also computers, clothing, makeup. If you sell any kind of makeup, listen to QVC is really, really good. Again, you're listening for trends, because they'll talk about trends for colors, for lipstick, for eyeshadows. It can be so helpful when you're outsourcing, because again, you'll be listening to the patio and garden thing, and they'll talk about perhaps a certain style of glass that's very, very, very in right now. And then you're outsourcing and you come across it. You're like, oh, I just heard about this. And it's like, great. And then you grab it, because if it's on trend, if they're talking about it, then you're going to go and hop over to eBay, see if it sells, because it might sell on QVC and it doesn't sell on eBay, and just check it out. So back to home and garden. I wanted to show you this on eBay. So one thing, and you can source this in a million different ways, is wind chimes. Wind chimes are super, super, super popular. Go on major sites. Again, go back to your Home Depot. Certainly, my best guess would be on the QVC thing. I'm sure they would bring up wind chimes. But what I did was I went and I checked on this. And right now on eBay, you've got over 46,000 wind chimes listed on eBay. And when you're sorting in a category, so let's say I was looking at purses, or I'm looking at seat cushions, or I'm looking glassware for outdoors, I'm looking at pool supplies, whatever outdoor category I've decided to look at, sort price and shipping highest. When you sort price and shipping lowest, you can do it, but typically what you're going to see is more inexpensive items that are being imported from Asia. Ship price and shipping highest, because that's where you're going to get the more artisan, vintage, unusual, and that's what you're after. And then scroll through and start looking at what is up. So you've got this pretty moon wall mounted brass bell, Japanese style. So we're seeing lots of moons. We've got multicolored, all kinds of different pretty wind chimes. And again, I'm educating my eye, and these are ones that are expensive. Look at the prices on these, okay? Then what you want to do once you've gotten a hold of a category like wind chimes, but again, you can do this with any outdoor category, then you're going to want to go to the wind chimes, and you're going to want to sort. And this is without TerraPeak. TerraPeak's going to give you even more information. This is just a general overview to get the creative juices flowing. Is you then go back and you sort by solds. And again, when I do, let me make sure these are the solds. I think this is, so hang on a second. Yes, solds. Okay, good. Then you're going to go, and I also sort price and highest shipping. Why? Again, I want to know the more expensive ones that sold. And then you start scrolling through and taking a look at these and go, okay, what styles are selling? What this pretty, okay, Love Cause Bell interesting. A lot of Corinthian bell wind chimes, a lot. So I would definitely keep an eye out for that if you can get some for a good price. Really pretty. Look at this Walter Lamb mid-century painted bronze tube for $3.49. So again, unusual, colored, a lot of Corinthian bells again. So you're going to keeping an eye out for your Corinthian bells. Extra large, so a very large wind chime. Okay. Then we've got this vintage Richard Fisher bronze wind bell. So again, because you guys have a good eye, is when you're out and looking, again, we're looking for the unusual. We're looking for the slightly different, because that's going to be bringing you a better price. But keep an eye out when you're sourcing, because things like wind chimes, garden decor, outdoor dining, patio accessories are big sellers. Garden decor, okay? The stones people like to place, the small sculptures they like to place in their gardens are big sellers May, June, July, August. So again, you're going to be looking something like QVC. There are shows that are themed around things that you typically can source, right? Which, right, I'm focusing on garden and patio, but they have a lot of theme shows. You're going to watch them or tape them, because what you're listening for is the trends. You're listening for colors they talk about, styles they talk about. With chimes, the sounds. What sounds do they talk about? And then you're going to keep an eye out when you're outsourcing, because this is what is selling on eBay. So think outdoors decor, think garden, think patio, and also think outdoors of all sizes, because there are a lot of people that they love to do things in their yard, and they may have a very small yard, but they love to have a lovely little statue of their favorite breed of dog. I noticed quite a few little dog statues, okay? They might have colors, certain colors they like, the blue. Is keep an eye out for that, because these are great things to source and things that people will pass by because they're looking for the Coach purses or they're looking for the Lululemon, and they will pass by the outdoor decor, the beautiful garden stakes. There's all kinds of garden stakes you can put in. Think of small statues that people like to put out. They like to do fairies. They like to do sprites, okay? Because they like to think of that for the garden. Pretty stones, pretty floral little sculptures that you can put in with the real flowers that are staked in. All these kinds of things really sell well for people decorating their gardens. So when you're searching the category on eBay, search by highest price sold and look at what's really bringing in the money. And then you keep that in mind when you are outsourcing. Hey, Melissa, how are you? And I've got other great ideas for you. So that's the whole thing about is you're looking for micro niches. Again, nothing wrong with sourcing Lululemon, nothing wrong with sourcing designer brand purses and bags. But if that is your jam, that's really what you love, then within that, perhaps do like with the Lululemon, are there certain colors or certain styles that you're able to source? Okay, like you find in your area, there's a lot of the capri or the cropped leggings or the tops or certain styles of tops. Same thing with the bags. I was actually talking to somebody the other day that loves to buy Coach. And what they said is they really prefer the vintage Coach because they find how beautifully they're made. So maybe keep an eye out for that, is really keep an eye out for the vintage Coach, the ones that are made in the United States. So again, with anything is always think, what's the micro niche that I can go for? So for one thing I did with garden, this is years ago, I had a source for some garden stakes, was the stakes. They're beautiful little markers you just put in the flower beds. And they were red, white, and blue. They were patriotic, which is great for selling for Memorial Day, July 4th, and Labor Day. So they were patriotic red, white, and blue, which is a great theme, by the way, for outdoors garden, for seat covers, for the napkins, for the plates, for the glassware, for pool accessories of all kinds of floaties. Is red, white, and blue patriotic is huge, okay? So keep an eye out for that. Don't forget your Home Depots. Don't forget your Lowe's. A lot of times we're so oriented towards a Nordstrom, a Macy's, a TJ Maxx that we forget about. Home and garden stores are great ways to source. And then Father's Day is coming up. And Father's Day is a huge, huge, huge retail event, and do not forget it. And the other thing with Father's Day is that dads love all kinds of things, not just ties and pipes. So hop over to my website, I love to be selling.com, and grab 44 Father's Day gift ideas to list on eBay right now. And for those of you with unlisted inventory, I bet anything that there are some goodies in that pile that if you just dig in there that are absolutely perfect Father's Day gifts. So don't overlook my free guide. It will help you with your unlisted inventory. It will also help you tweak the keywords on things that are up. Dads love books. Dads love all kinds of sports accessories. Dad loves sports collectibles. Dads also love clothes. And my father was an avid gardener, and loved garden accessories, garden tools. Absolutely, he would have loved that. And the other thing, because he loved outdoor garden, he had a real love for azaleas and rhododendrons, artwork reminiscent of that. So really pretty print of an azalea or a rhododendron. My dad would have loved. Why? Because those plants were his love. Fishing, please, fishing accessories, huge seller. Okay. So again, depending on where you are, depending on what you source, be sure to grab my 44 Father's Day gift ideas that you can list on eBay right now. Because again, it just gets those things, gets your creative juices flowing, because oftentimes we just think about things that we would have bought our dad or the men in our life, and we forget the huge array of things that sell for Father's Day. But it is a multi-million-dollar retail event. That means a lot of money is spent on Father's Day. So why shouldn't some of that come your way? So grab my free guide. It will help you, help you, help you. And thank you for joining me. I'm Kathy, and I love to be selling. Bye-bye, everybody.